Nervous tissue, classification, structure, and function. Pause text and illustrations for detailed study. Definition of terms contained in the illustrations presented. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter present in various parts of the body and at cholinergic synapses of the central, sympathetic, and parasympathetic nervous systems, essential to different physiological functions. An action potential is the electrical potential change associated with impulse passage along a muscle or nerve cell membrane. Afferent refers to being inward or reflecting toward a body. Astrocyte, star-shaped glial cell of the central nervous system. Axon, thread-like nerve cell whereby impulses are carried from the nerve cell body to the destination cell. Axoplasm, nerve axon cytoplasm. Brachial, the arm or a structure related to same. The brainstem consists of the medulla oblongata, pons, and midbrain, inferiorly forming the spinal cord, being the central trunk of the brain of mammals. Calcium is a mineral stored in the hard portion of bones, essential to bone health, cardiac function, muscular contraction, and normal blood clotting. The central nervous system, CNS, is the nerve tissue complex controlling bodily activities in vertebrates, comprising the brain and spinal cord. The cerebellum is the portion of the brain at the rear of the skull that coordinates and regulates muscular activity in vertebrates. Choline is a strongly basic compound present in various living tissues, essential to lipid synthesis and transport. The coccyx is the small triangular bone at the spinal column base. Cranial refers to the skull. Dendrite, short nerve cell extension branch whereby impulses received from other cells at synapses are transmitted to the cell body. Efferent refers to outwards or away from a body structure. The endocrine system comprises a chemical messenger feedback loop of hormones released by internal glands directly into the circulatory system, regulating target organs. The main endocrine glands are the adrenal and thyroid glands. Fight or flight is an instinctive physiological response to resist or evade a stimulus perceived as threatening. Lumbar refers to the lower portion of the back. Microglia are specialized macrophages of the central nervous system that remove damaged neurons and infections. A mitochondrium is a double-layered cellular organelle where the biochemical processes of respiration and energy production take place. Myelin, whitish mixture of proteins and phospholipids forming an insulation sheath around nerve fibers, increasing the speed of nerve conduction. A nerve impulse is a signal transmitted along a nerve fiber consisting of a wave of electrical polarization, reversing the potential difference across the nerve cell membrane. The Neurilemma is the thin sheath around the nerve axon, also including myelin if present. The node of Ranvier is the gap in the myelin nerve sheath between adjacent Schwann cells. An oligodendrocyte is a glial cell functioning in central nervous system myelin production. The Pacinian corpuscle is an encapsulated sensory nerve end acting as a pressure and vibration receptor. A reflex is an active response to a stimulus in the absence of conscious thought. The reflex arc is initiated by a sensory input passing through a connected sequence of neurons, culminating in a motor output response. Ruffinian corpuscle is a mechanoreceptor in the cutaneous tissue between the dermal papillae and the hypodermis. Sacral refers to the triangular bone of the lower back, resulting from fused vertebrae located between the two pelvic hip bones. Schwann cells are peripheral nerve system cells producing the myelin sheath of neuronal axons. Soma refers to parts of a body or organism other than the reproductive cells. Somatic refers to the body being distinct from the mind. The spinal cord is the cylindrical bundle of nerve fibers and associated tissue enclosed in the spine, connecting almost every part of the body to the brain, forming the central nervous system. Synapse, junctional gap between two nerve cells whereby nerve impulses pass by means of diffusion from a neurotransmitter. Telodendria are the terminal branches of an axon that contact other neurons at the synapses. A vertebra is each of the small backbones possessing projections for articulation and detachment of muscles, as well as a central canal for the passage of the spinal cord. Viscera refers to the internal organs of the principal body cavities. The nervous system is an organ system that, with the endocrine system, correlates the adjustments and responses of the body to internal as well as environmental conditions. It consists of the brain and spinal cord, central nervous system, and the other neuronal elements, peripheral nervous system. The human nervous system illustration. Note the relationship between the brain, spinal cord, and individual nerves. Major divisions of the vertebrate nervous system illustration. Neuron Anatomy illustration. This pyramidal neuron of the cerebral cortex is the dominant excitatory neuron with a synaptic connection from an incoming axon. Synaptic vesicles containing neurotransmitters illustration. A neurotransmitter is a chemical released at the nerve fiber end by the arrival of a nerve impulse. It diffuses across the synapse or junction, causing impulse transfer to another nerve fiber, muscle fiber, or another structure. Synapse illustration. Complete neuron cell illustration. Neurons are electrically excitable nervous system cells that process and transmit information. Neurons are the main components of the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves. Nervous tissue illustration. Types of neurons illustration. Number 1, unipolar neuron. Number 2, bipolar neuron. Number 3, multipolar neuron. Number 4, pseudounipolar neuron. Multipolar neuron illustration. Signal propagating down an axon to the cell body and dendrites of the next cell illustration. Chemical synapse illustration. A neuromuscular junction consists of a chemical synapse created by the contact between a motor neuron and a muscle fiber. A motor neuron is able to transmit a signal to the muscle fiber at the neuromuscular junction, causing muscle contraction. Stages of an action potential propagating down an axon illustration. Note the role of ion concentration as well as pump and channel proteins in this process. The stimulus must reach the threshold level for a full response to occur. A larger stimulus will not result in a larger response, and vice versa. Nervous system function illustration. Signals are picked up by sensory receptors and sent to the spinal cord and brain, where processing takes place, resulting in signals being sent back to the spinal cord and subsequently out to motor neurons. Sympathetic nervous system with sympathetic cord and target organs illustration. Ganglia are nerve cell bodies often linked by synapses, frequently forming a swelling on a nerve fiber. T refers to thoracic, S refers to sacral. Parasympathetic nervous system illustration. Craniosacral systems are blue in color. C refers to cranial. New presentations coming soon.